Welcome to my channel Alien Signal. The stars above the outer rim burned cold and distant, like silent witnesses to a decision that would echo across the galaxy. The Alpha stood at the edge of the human settlement, his massive frame silhouetted against the rising twin suns. His species, the Varkari, were apex predators, feared across systems for their unmatched strength, tactical brilliance, and unbreakable pack bonds. They did not abandon their own. Ever. And yet, here he was. At his feet, 3 small cubs shifted nervously, their silver-black fur catching the early light. Their eyes, bright, intelligent, and far too young, looked up at him with trust. That trust cut deeper than any blade. "They will die with you," the human said. The Alpha's gaze shifted toward the speaker, a woman clad in worn armor, her posture firm but not aggressive. Commander Elena Reyes, leader of the small human colony that barely clung to survival on this forgotten frontier world. "They will die if they stay with me," the Alpha replied, his voice a low, resonant growl. War was coming, not a skirmish, not a border dispute, annihilation. The Varkari packs were turning on each other, fractured by internal conflict and hunted by an emerging empire that feared their strength. The Alpha's enemies would stop at nothing, not even slaughtering cubs, to erase his bloodline. But humans were unpredictable, weak in body, yes. Fragile, short-lived, but they had something else. Adaptability, resilience, and a strange, terrifying ability to turn the impossible into survival. "They are not human," Elena said quietly. "We don't know how to raise them. They are young," the Alpha said. "They will learn." The cubs pressed closer to his legs, sensing the shift, the finality. For a moment, the Alpha hesitated. Every instinct screamed at him to take them and run. To fight, to die protecting them, as any Alpha should. But instinct alone would not save them. He lowered his massive head, pressing it gently against each cub in turn. "You will live," he murmured in their language. "You will adapt. You will become more than we ever were." The eldest cub let out a soft, confused whine. The Alpha turned away before he could change his mind. "Teach them," he said to Elena. "Not how to be Varkari, but how to survive." And then, without another word, he vanished into the wilderness. The cubs cried out, but he did not return. Years later, the galaxy changed, empires rose, worlds burned, entire species vanished from existence. The Varkari, they became legends, stories whispered in fear, of warriors who once dominated battlefields, now reduced to scattered remnants, hunted and broken. No one spoke of the Alpha. No one knew what became of his cubs. Except one small human colony, that no longer remained small. The settlement had grown into a fortified outpost, then into a city, and finally into something more, a strategic hub of human expansion in the outer systems. And at its heart, stood 3 figures. They were taller than any human, their physiques powerful yet refined. Their fur still bore the markings of their species, but their movements were different, precise, disciplined. Controlled. They wore armor, not the crude plating of Varkari warriors, but sleek, human-engineered exosuits, designed to enhance both strength and agility. And their eyes were no longer those of lost cubs. They were commanders. "Elena," the eldest said, his voice calm but commanding. "The fleet is ready." Commander Elena Reyes, older now, her hair streaked with gray, looked up at him. She remembered when he could barely walk. Now he stood as something entirely new. "What do you see out there?" she asked. The second of the 3 stepped forward, activating a holographic display. Star systems lit up in red. "The Dominion is expanding faster than predicted," she said. "They've already wiped out 3 independent colonies in the last cycle." The third, the youngest, grinned slightly. "Which means," he said, "they're about to meet resistance." Elena studied them. Not Varkari. Not human. Something better. You're sure about this? She asked quietly. The eldest met her gaze. They're coming for this sector, he said. If we don't stop them now, there will be nothing left to protect. Elena exhaled slowly. She had raised them to survive. She had not expected them to lead. Then it's time, she said. The return of the pack. The Dominion fleet arrived without warning. Hundreds of warships emerged from hyperspace, blotting out the stars above the frontier systems. Their reputation was simple. They did not negotiate. They did not retreat. They erased. On the bridge of the lead Dominion vessel, the high strategist observed the battlefield with cold precision. Begin planetary cleansing, he ordered. But before the command could be executed, a signal interrupted. Unknown fleet detected, an officer said. The strategist frowned. Identify. The holographic display shifted. What appeared was unexpected. Human ships. Dozens of them, but not standard military designs. These ships were different, faster, more aggressive in structure, their configurations optimized for rapid assault and coordinated strikes. At their center, a flagship unlike any seen before. Insignia, the strategist asked. The officer hesitated. Unknown, but it resembles. The words caught in his throat. Speak. A Varkari pack marking. Silence fell over the bridge. That's impossible, the strategist said. The Varkari are extinct. Before anyone could respond, the human fleet moved. War rewritten. They didn't charge blindly. They didn't rely on brute force. They adapted. Human tactics merged with Varkari instincts created something the Dominion had never faced. Fighter units darted through enemy formations with surgical precision. Larger ships executed coordinated flanking maneuvers that anticipated Dominion responses before they happened. And at the center of it all, the flagship. Inside, the three commanders stood side by side. Phase 1 complete, the second reported. Enemy formation destabilized. The youngest smirked. They're slower than expected. The eldest didn't smile. They're learning, he said. Which means we need to move faster. He activated the next command. Deploy ground units. The ground war. Dominion forces landed on the surface, expecting minimal resistance. What they encountered was chaos. Not disorganized chaos. Controlled chaos. Human soldiers fought alongside towering Varkari forms. No, not pure Varkari. Something more refined, enhanced. The cubs had not just grown. They had built, trained units that combined human adaptability with Varkari strength. Every move was calculated, every strike precise. The Dominion had never faced an enemy that evolved mid-battle. And they were losing. The Alpha's fate. Far from the battlefield, on a dying world, the Alpha lay still. Time had taken its toll. His body, once unstoppable, now bore the scars of endless war. He had survived longer than most. But not long enough. The distant sky flickered with light. Ships. Battle. He closed his eyes. So, it ends. Then, a sound. Faint. Familiar. He forced his eyes open. Three figures approached. For a moment, he thought it was a dream. But as they stepped closer, he knew. Cubs, he whispered. They knelt beside him. Not as cubs. As warriors. As leaders. We lived, the eldest said softly. The Alpha studied them. Different. Stronger. Not bound by the old ways. You became, he struggled to speak. More. The youngest gave a small grin. Humans had a few ideas. A weak rumble of something like laughter escaped the Alpha. I see that. The second leaned forward. The war isn't over, she said. But it will be. The Alpha's gaze softened. Then my choice was not a failure. It was the beginning, the eldest said. For the first time in many years. The Alpha rested. Legacy of the new pack. The Dominion fell within the year. Not destroyed completely, but driven back, their expansion shattered by a force they could not predict. A new power rose in the outer systems. Not an empire, not a conquest-driven force. A coalition, led by 3 commanders who carried both instinct and innovation. Strength and strategy, Varkari and human, they became known across the galaxy by a single name. The new pack. And wherever they went, they did not dominate, they protected, because they had been given something rare. A second chance. Final line perfect for ending voiceover. The Alpha had abandoned his cubs to save them. But in doing so, he didn't lose his pack. He created something the galaxy had never seen before. A pack that didn't just survive. A pack that changed the fate of the stars. Thank you for listening. Subscribe for more cinematic science fiction stories.